Hi there. I'm Vita King Blanchard from Arts. Thank you for joining me today for this video, self-massage for our hands and arms. So a couple of things just in case you don't have them right by you. I have some oil because my hands get really dry, and so it's an area that I'm just probably not going to work without oil. So if you want an oil or lotion for when we get to that part, you might want to have it nearby. And also my nails are very short. So I'm going to put my fingers right against on like the tip, right against my skin at different points during this. And if your nails are a little bit longer, you want to just kind of accommodate that, kind of think about the move and how you can reach it and still be comfortable. And that just takes a little bit of playing with it. I also have my hair down, which is intentional because, like I've talked about, when we're restricting the fascia in our heads, it can prevent us from relaxing because everything is so connected. And a really easy way to reflect on that is, thinking about tension, right? When we store tension or have stressors, it often can amplify any discomfort that we're feeling in our bodies. Just part of the evidence that we have in our day-to-day lives that our mind, body, and emotional states are so interconnected. So go ahead and just get comfortable. You can do this laying down. I'm choosing to sit because I want to have first I want to be visible to you, and also I want to have my shoulders free because, like I talked about in the massage for everyone, we want to open up the areas that attach to our torso or the areas in between our hearts and whatever area we're working on. And that's just warming up those areas in between just helps increase circulation and encourage the body to go into a restorative state. So nice and gently, I'm going to start with just turning my head to the side. I'm going to the left first. Nice and slow. You're just going to go to the edge of comfort, right? So not a place where it hurts, just that point where you hit that wall where you could push further, but we don't want to push. We just want to invite our bodies to release. Pushing has its own stress, so we're going to just avoid that and stay here for a few deep breaths. And then gently and slowly go back to center. And in this center position, go ahead and take a few deep breaths. Not only will this start the circulation moving, also is just a great way to kind of tell our bodies what we're going to be doing. And then to the other side, which for me is my right, nice and slow and gentle, until you find that place of just slight resistance. That wall where if you pushed any further, you would be uncomfortable. And just sit at that barrier. Take some nice deep breaths. And then slowly and gently return to center. And again, a few nice deep breaths. Now we're going to lift our arms, and this is getting some nice motion into our shoulders. Again, you just want to go to that place that is comfortable for you. If it's lower than my arms extend, no worries. If it's higher than my arms extend, also no worries. You want to make sure to keep the natural bends in your elbows and just keep it a nice, relaxed pose. Right? We're not hyperextending. Just encouraging our bodies to begin to move and open. And as I do this, I can feel my shoulders dropping and relaxing and giving me a little bit more room. And then back down, nice and slow and gentle. And then our torso to the left, again with that slow motion, just going to the edge of what feels comfortable. And stopping right against that barrier in a place of comfort, in that spot where you know that you might be uncomfortable if you went any further. And then slowly and gently back to center. Again, a few deep breaths. And to the other side, slowly and gently to that barrier of resistance, wherever it is for you. And again, slowly back to center. Good. So now you're going to just roll your shoulders backwards a few times. Again, this is just encouraging that blood flow from our shoulders. We could do this by massaging our shoulders for ourselves, but this actually gets more motion and allows both of our arms to stay relaxed, just carrying this movement. And all of this is increasing the blood flow in our arms and getting our arms and hands nice and ready to be active. So then you just pause and take a couple deep breaths. And then roll forward or in the opposite direction if you were rolling forward before. And then again, pause for a few nice deep breaths. And now I'm going to grab my oil and just give a little bit. I'm going to rub it on my hands and all the way up my forearms. And again, I don't want it to be super slick because I don't want to slip if I'm doing an intentional pinpointed hold or technique. But my skin does get pretty dry on my hands and forearms because I wash them so much. And so this is just going to help make sure that I'm not irritating my skin. Okay. So after you do that, we're going to start on this higher up part of our arms, right? Because again, we're opening all the way down. So I'm just putting some pressure on the muscles. You can kind of trace this muscle coming down and going down to your elbow. And I'm just pulling it towards me. And I don't want to go too fast because then the muscle will like pop out of my fingers and I won't be able to get as good a hold or release on it. So you want to just nice and slow lift it up, and I'm pushing in toward the bone and kind of slowly rolling over it while maintaining a grip on it. There you go. And then I'm going down toward my elbow to where it attaches. I'm actually going to lower the camera a little bit so I can have my arm more relaxed. So now I'm coming onto the condyle or the bony protrusion of my elbow. And I'm just gonna put some pressure on it because I've talked about before how any place where bones stick out, it's like a hot spot for tendons, musculature, soft tissue to attach. And just getting into those attachment sites can allow the muscle to release, or the fascia, the connective tissue that holds everything together, to release and create more space. So I'm going to go to the other side. Again, just find that bony protrusion and gentle. We want to stay in the range of comfort so we don't hurt ourselves. Everything nice and slow and gentle so you stay relaxed. If you feel like you're trying, you probably are creating stress that's adding back in, and that's not going to help your muscles relax. So I'm just going to do a couple quick grabs, keep loosening it up, and then move down into my forearm with this. And I'm just grabbing and releasing, grabbing and releasing. And the oil really helps me to glide on the skin. So now in between these bones on our forearm, you've got this like pathway of musculature that can get really tight from typing or writing or all the things that we use our hands for. So if you just put a little bit of pressure with your forefingers, and again, this is where you want to think about what your nails are doing, because if you're stabbing, you're not relaxing. So I'm just putting some pressure in between the bones, again, pretty gently. I guess I'm at like a 3 here in terms of intensity. And I'm doing a little closer to the elbow. And do that same cross friction going down, down. And just opening it up. There you go. And I always like to work with whatever point of contact I'm making. So my thumb on the other side is also just finding any tense or tight spots, any of those areas where the musculature feels like taut, like a rubber band that's stretched out too far. And just kind of easing it with some circular thumb motions, doing whatever feels comfortable for me at the time. Right? So much of touch is just about intention, which we know from the ways that other people touch us. So now I'm going to go into my hand and just put some, I'm going to go back to my wrist here first, actually. And in between, again, these bony protrusions here. And I'm just going to focus a little bit of that cross fiber from my fingertips in there. And then on the other side, I'm going to use my thumb to create that same kind of cross fiber around the base of my hand and encourage it to start opening, tracing up into my thumb. And I am changing my position to demo. And again, I want you to think about keeping your body as comfortable and relaxed as possible. So if that is with your arms down, which I suspect it will be, in a seated position, then keep them there. So I'm just gonna use my thumb and my forefingers on the other side, because right, every point of contact is an opportunity to help support and comfort, relax and release. And I'm just gonna slide in between the bones on my hands. Nice and gentle on both sides. And I'm gonna follow that up into my fingers. If you find a spot that like cries out to you and says, I want extra touch and attention, just go in with that gentle circular motion with your thumb or cross fiction motion with your fingers and give it a little bit more attention. It's going to be a little bit different for all of us. So if you feel called to pause in a place that is different than what I'm suggesting, you go ahead and do that. And just stay in that realm of gentle comfort and go ahead and, use these techniques. Another thing that I'm doing here is just grabbing onto the muscles around my thumb and extending and relaxing my hand as I do it. So I'm using my fingers kind of as a pivot for the muscle to relax around. Okay, now I'm just gonna roll my shoulders a little bit so that I can switch to my other arm, because again, we want to keep that blood flow nice and open. And this helps the arm that I've already worked on recycle its circulation and encourages the other arm to kind of warm back up, because even though we were using it, maybe because we were using it, it got a little bit tense, stopped relaxing quite as much. So I'm going to start up here again and just follow that muscle as it comes down and attaches. I'm just lifting and pulling away. I'm doing a little bit of cross fiber, that back and forth motion with my fingertips as I go in here. And this spot feels really good for me, so I'm just going to hang out here for a second. And then I'm going to go check out those bony protrusions, right? The condyle and the epicondyle. And just give that a little bit of attention. And I'm just holding it because that's what feels good for me right now. And extending and flexing my forearm, right? Bending my elbow and straightening. And just create the friction for me, which is another nice way to just stay relaxed while you allow your body to kind of release itself. Great. Now I'm going to go again, we're staying gentle in that range of very easy comfort. And going back in between these bones and the forearm and creating some cross fiber friction to relax the muscles in there. And it's just that lifting and grabbing motion with a little bit of cross fibering from my fingers in there as I go. Some bracing and circular motion from my thumbs on the interior of my forearm as I kind of just create a motion. You can actually see my thumb poking out there on the bottom, huh? It's creating that nice little turning. And again, hanging out in those spots that I feel like on me need some extra attention. My right arm wants a little bit more care than my left arm because I mostly use my right hand. And so it needs some extra support. And I'm going to go back into that wrist area. And I'm just going to use that same flexing and extension that I did with the elbow to encourage this area to release. And into my hand. Again, using the thumb on one side and the four fingers on the other to work in between the bones. Pulling on my thumb a little bit and using a little bit of cross fiction with my thumb on the back. My other thumb. And again, just returning to following between the bones, doing some nice, gentle friction, spreading, really creating space for blood to flow, and just adding that loving attention and touch to my hands and up into my fingers. Good. One more time, we're going to roll our shoulders back. Roll them forward. And then lift our arms up into the air. Slightly raise your chin, but don't tilt your head very far back. Keep those elbows soft. Take a few deep breaths. Just allowing the circulation to have this boost from your hands being over your heart. Allow everything that we loosened up to recycle and get new flow. You can bring your arms back down and relax. Thank you for joining me for this video and participating. You've done a great job with self-care today. I'm actually offering a live meditation this Monday on beauty. And you can look, it's in my scheduled videos column. And check me out next weekend here at 12:30 p.m. EST for more massage. Thanks so much. I love you. I love me. I love us. I'll see you soon.